Okay.
I'm just a lonely boy, nobody loves me.
He's just a lonely boy from a poor family, sparing his life from these zombies in the street.
But I am a zombie.
Round 2.
No, that was a good intro. Right there, that's a perfect intro.
Welcome to the table. My name is Max.
I'm Doolin.
And today we are playing Lonely Undead. This is by Dead Lemon Games and designed by Shelby Matusuk. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This is a game coming to Kickstarter in the beginning of June.
Yep.
And this is going to be a game where you are taking control of a zombie. But instead of wanting to kill the zombies because that is your zombie thing that you do, instead it's because you're lonely. And you want friends.
Yeah.
So we're aiming to go infect other people so we can have friends. So we can be friendly with each other. This game can be played both competitively and cooperatively. We just finished playing a cooperative version. Our goal basically was to infect 15 friends, and then we win if we successfully do so. All the while we're attempting to dodge dogs and not lose fights against officers and surgeons and little kids and stuff like that, losing limbs along the way, dodging cars, kind of a mix of Frogger, Pac-Man, and Dead of Winter. Maybe.
A little bit, maybe, maybe.
There's quite a bit going on.
Yeah, and just to note, there's like a multitude of different game variants as well. Like you can play against each other where we're trying to get the most friends and
There's
be the
also
most popular.
the hard mode.
There's like 4 different like difficulty modes.
You can
there's
build
a
your
solo
own
mode.
map. Yeah.
You can build your own map. Very innovative in terms of like what you can bring to the table in terms of you getting what you want out of your experience. There's a mutated zombie version of the game as well. So like I'm not even sure what that is exactly, but yeah, lots of different additions to the game.
So to give you a better rundown of how this game plays and works, we're each taking control of a particular zombie. Z word, undead, lonely undead. We're taking control of one of these. I have Beth, who's the retired nurse.
And I was Bertha, the
Pardon me. Yeah, she's a cook of some sort.
Yeah.
We each have our own special abilities. Like, for example, I have 1 additional strength and also am better at being silent against officers.
Yeah. Which are like the most powerful types of humans.
Right, other than the mayor.
Yeah, and you know what? I didn't even pay attention to this, but I don't think I was ever in these buildings. But when I'm in the deli, bakery, or at home, I get +1 to my listening skills.
I stayed away from officers, weirdly enough. I probably should have taken advantage of that. But there's a little bit of variability based off which player you choose. There's also more of these in the box, of course. We're only playing a 2-player game.
Max, what's your health?
So actually, we have a number of limbs.
Yeah.
We have 4 limbs.
I learned that when I was a kid.
But in the game, we have 4 limbs, and that is our health points.
Yeah.
So basically, we are attempting to retain our limbs, as one should.
Yes.
And if at any point in time we lose all 4 of our limbs, we lose.
How do we lose limbs, Max?
Cooperative setting, one person losing 4 limbs is the end of the game.
Yes.
You lose limbs by different... so, like, for example, this surgeon down here, which almost killed me. If I lose the fight against the surgeon, if I lose that, I lose a limb. Yeah. And also draw a reaction card.
They know how to remove them.
Also some reaction cards that can cause you to lose limbs, too. So it's different variability like that. Certain cards that you draw a reaction card at the end of every turn, and also certain enemies that will cause you to do certain things. Each enemy has an effect when you lose a sound check, which is when you're sneaking up on them to see if they notice you. And then each enemy also has an effect when you lose the fight against them.
Yes.
Then, if you bite and fail to turn them, twice they die.
Yeah.
And that's also a lose track down here.
You've got death toll.
Right, yeah. Once your death toll reaches 10, if you've killed 10 people, you lose the game. There's not enough people left to convert to get enough friends, basically.
On top of those 2 ways that you can lose limbs through characters or through random reactions, you can also draw cards that cause the cars to randomly drive through the intersection,
which is what's like Frogger.
And those can not only hurt you, but they can hurt other other people you've already infected,
causing the death toll to rise.
Yeah, you can also injure living, which actually can be helpful if a person who is at full health gets hit by a car. You can run up and just bite them, which is also kind of...
Because you must injure someone before you're able to convert them.
Exactly. Or dogs, which are the, like...
The Pac-Man variant.
Goodness. Like, the worst part of, like...
Not the worst part of the game, the scariest part of the game as a living, or as an undead.
Yeah, they are constantly chasing you, and the end of, like, the upkeep phase of... everybody's turn ends, and now you have to draw reactions, all that. Part of that is all dogs get to move, and they all randomly move depending on their specific character. Like, they're actually kind of cute. There's like Gigi and Stu and Pack
and Sal, Belle. For example, Pack, if I roll a 0 or a crit fail, it'll move 3 squares towards its zombie, which that means the zombie who drew it. So, for example, if that happens, it's going to target me and not Doolin. And then any other number, it's going to move 2 spaces towards its zombie. So, again, only targeting me, not him, where some can target both. And essentially, if Pack gets to me and attacks me, I lose a limb.
Yes. And some of them have, like, really horrible outcomes. Like, one of them was you lose 2 limbs on one of these. Like, it's just... Like, and you only have 4, in case you weren't forgetting how many you had.
You can get some back.
You can get limbs back?
Very sparsely. Gain a limb if in a clinic. Also draw an aid, stuff like that.
You're just like, back on? That's kind of cool.
Well, that's the surgeon, so it makes a little thematic sense there.
Cool.
But very rarely. You're more often than not going to be losing limbs, not actually getting them back.
On top of that, the way that you... keep that all from happening. We'll talk about actions real fast. On your turn, you have a number of things that you can do, but what you're mostly going to be doing is moving around the map, depending on how many movement like spaces that you can take, which is notified on your card.
Beth can move twice. Bertha can only move once.
I was just
Bertha's
slowly.
Like, I also got some abilities or some items that allowed me to move even faster. So I was moving three spots, and that can also mean diagonally per movement action I took.
Yeah. And the whole point of moving is you're going to find a person. You'll move next to a living token, which represents any number of types. There's kids, there's officers, there's living, there's even the mayor, which we haven't even talked about. Special character that didn't even come into our game. We lost. But once you get up beside one, you actually flip over one of their cards. And I got the dog sitter. And she has +1 to her listening and 1 to her fight. And I have 1 to my listening and 3 to my fight. The first thing you always do is do your listening check. So did you successfully sneak up on this person?
You don't have to succeed, but the reaction is negative if you fail.
Yes, so you, which is in real life. Like if you were trying to bite somebody, it's better if they didn't notice you than if they did.
Because they're going to scream and alert a dog or something.
Which is what the dog sitter does.
Oh, wow.
I did
not even read that.
So I roll this, I add that number to my listening or my sneak ability. It's
a tie in this case.
And zombies win ties. So I successfully sneak up on her. Then I would choose to fight her. So I need to injure her before I can bite her. I have a 3 fight skill. She has a 1. So I roll this again. And I crit failed, which means that I go to this little section at the bottom of every single card. Tells me what happens if I fail. In this case, I move to an empty space adjacent to the dog park doorway.
Ooh, yikes.
Do I do that?
I think so.
That's horrible. So I would go over there. But let's say, for instance, that I did succeed. I rolled a 0 or literally anything else on that roll.
You would have passed,
Then she is able to be bitten. You roll the bite dice, which I know this is a lot of rolling, but pretty fun. You roll the dice, and you check that with your bite numbers, and on those numbers you succeed in infecting her. But if not, she gets a bite token on her, and the moment that she takes more than 2, she is dead.
Yeah.
And she goes down here to the death toll. But if you succeed, you get to put her in your list of friends. And that is essentially most of the goal, how you achieve your goal in the game.
I think you covered it. There's going to be certain buildings on the map that allow different characters, including yourself as a zombie, to have special abilities or bonuses. But those are something that those are not necessarily an afterthought in gameplay, but something that's not going to be taking advantage of every turn.
Yes. And I didn't even mention another action that you can take is actually gaining an aid card, which are a variety of different things where it can be a free action, which
a tracksuit.
Yeah, it can be an equipable item. It can be a item that only gets played in specific circumstances.
It can be a cheat card.
A cheat card, which was an actual thing where if you roll the dice and you don't like it, you just put it on the one you want.
But you add the death toll in doing so.
Yeah,
so it allows you to manipulate the dice and really get that roll that you need to hit, but you also have a little bit of a negative reaction as well. So that's basically the gist of Lonely Undead. It's what you're going to be doing every turn. Yeah. It's how you're going to win. It's how you're going to lose. And that's most of the mechanics of at least the cooperative game mode that we sat down and played today.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the competitive mode is not that different than what we just explained. You are spawning living people in.
First person to get to 7.
Yes, it's the first person to get the most friends. And so we can actually hinder each other's ability to do that, but there isn't a whole lot of player interaction in that even. It's a lot of just trying to avoid the dogs and get the people, just like in the cooperative mode.
If we were playing competitive, Doolin would have crushed me. But that's kind of typical.
I did get the most friends.
So, in general, first impressions just from our play, and then we'll kind of dive down into some specific negatives and positives that you would like to talk about. Just general first impressions.
General first impressions is this is very unique, I guess.
It's super unique, absolutely. Theme alone, but also the way it plays is quite different too than anything I've played.
I'm having trouble, and I really like to do this for you guys, especially because I like it when people do this, to compare it to something I've played before. And I don't know if I can. I can't really say that this is similar to other games I've played. The map layout is interesting. I love I'm getting into things that I like, but like especially the cars just makes it.
Those are fun.
Makes the whole thing feel a lot more thematic.
I agree.
I wouldn't consider this game a heavy like skill-based game.
No, it's not a Euro game that relies on no luck or anything. This game is very luck heavy. Lots of rolling dice. I mean, when you go to bite somebody, if you fail to bite them twice, they're dead. Yeah. And to succeed on a bite for me, I need 1, 2, or 3. To succeed on a bite for you, you need 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah.
So if I roll a 5 and then a 3, I succeed on the second one. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
But if I roll 2 5s, that person's dead. There's a lot of luck involved. Also, fighting someone like the surgeon, fail the fight, lose a limb for failing the fight. Yeah. Just to even be able to try and bite
Which
them.
was specifically bad for Max. We actually retconned.
We retconned a little bit.
Because we were like, well, we can't end the game already. We've literally not gotten very far.
I was really mad at her, and I really just wanted to bite her. So I fought her 3 times and lost 3 limbs. And I was like, nah, that's not happening. Let's just pretend I didn't do that. So there's certainly a lot that's reliant on luck, but it's not a game of craps. You're not just rolling dice. I mean, there's ways to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
I down here did not set myself up for success. This was the surgeon who destroyed 3 of my limbs, and then I had 2 other people like blocking my exit, and then a dog right there. I was not setting myself up, and I know that I did not do that very well. There's definitely room for that, but it is still quite luck based and reliant on dice. I will say for sure that your aid cards are very helpful.
Yes.
And I think we probably should have taken it a little slower and acquiring more aid cards.
And there's a huge deck of these too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, granted, you say that we should take it slower, but the whole reason we lost was actually because of reaction deck pools.
That's true. We got too many dogs. But yeah, the game certainly relies a lot on dice rolls and random card pulls.
Yes.
That's not necessarily a negative, just something to be aware of. It's not a Euro game at all. I mean, you are going to have luck-based things and events and reactions happening that affect the dynamic of the game.
All right, Max. We've talked about how this game works. We've talked about how it's unique. How do you feel about it? What are some positives specifically?
Okay, so positives specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, I genuinely do really like the theme. Okay. And I think it comes across quite nicely in the game.
Okay.
I mean, it is not like the most thematic game in the world, but I think it comes across in how you play fairly well.
Yeah.
You're moving from one person to the next, trying to make friends. You know, it kind of makes sense, which is weird to say for such an obscure theme. But it works. I also really like the actions that you're able to take. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, for example, I was able to move fast and you were not. I'm a nurse that's on my feet all the time. You're a butcher. I mean, I guess you're on your feet all the time too, but less cardio, right? Like, all those things make sense. I like the variability between not only the characters and the zombies yourself, but also between the living is what they're called.
Yes.
If these were all the exact same or a rendition of 3 that appeared very randomly and all of that often, I would be much less enthusiastic about this. Absolutely. I like how each one, I don't think we literally ever ran into a duplicate. I don't even know if there are. I'm assuming there are.
We had 2 dads, and that was it.
2 dads. But yeah, there's not many duplicates in this, and they're all different. They all have different abilities. They all have different skills, both for how hard they are to fight, to sneak up on, to turn into a zombie, stuff like that. I do think that works quite well. And I also really do like the car, the Frogger aspect.
Oh, yeah.
And the Pac-Man. I don't know why I keep comparing it to that dog aspect.
Because I kept saying Pac-Man throughout the game. Yeah. But you can't get it out of your head.
The dogs are the scariest part. Like, they're except for the Surgeon. I think the Surgeon is the scariest card in the game. Maybe that's just from personal experience. But other than that, the dogs are quite scary. But I will say that the upkeep for that, the fiddliness that comes with activating the dogs every turn is a little bit of an annoyance. It's not a huge deal. But like, for example, the cars are like, oh, easy peasy. The dogs are a lot more, because each dog is different. Well, I guess each car is different. Red. Whatever. But the dogs are a little more intense to track. It's not a big barrier or anything, but it is something that makes it a little bit annoying when you have to activate 5 dogs. Yeah. It's comparison to activating 1 car. That's really cool. I really like the car aspect, genuinely.
I really love the fact that this is this creator's first game, because I think that he went all out for the, like, creativity and the, like, it's extremely unique. We keep saying that, but, like, a lot of creators, if you pay attention, will, and there's nothing wrong with it, create a card game first. And that's because they're easier to make, and if you fail, it's less money wasted.
Overhead, right.
You know, whereas this is a full-on board, there's standees, there's all these different things that he really went out of his way to, like, create this unique experience, and I feel like there's a lot of passion put into this. For sure. So I appreciate that. That's probably my biggest positive for this
There's
game.
a lot to it. There's a lot to it. There's the aid cards, the reaction, the death toll cards.
Yes.
There's the fact that you can do the game mode on the back where you spawn your own city. Yeah. Basically, there's the different game modes of competitive and cooperative. There's certainly a lot going on with this game, and I think that that's mostly for the positive. Yeah. Absolutely.
My biggest negative that you've not experienced yet, because you didn't have to learn this game, is I'm not a huge fan of the rulebook.
And we need to jump in here right away and say that this is 100% prototype components. Yes. Even the dogs say placeholder art. There's other things that I'm certain are going to change. And I've already spoken to Shelby, and he has said that we do not have the most up-to-date print of the rules. So that's already a little bit fixed. I don't know how much better it is. And I did not have to experience the rules, but I know you did have some qualms with that.
The wording was just difficult at times. And that is obviously something that can be improved.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I also really do like the death toll.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I do like that.
Okay.
I like that there's a timer, on the game. Not only losing your 4 limbs, but I like that the game punishes you for certain things. Yeah. I like the different methods of defeat, I guess, of loss. There might be too many. Like, it's hard to keep track of them all. But I do like them. I like the limbs. I like the not being able to place a living. I like the death toll. Yeah. But it can be a little much to track, I think.
Yeah, that reminds me, and I know that you hate this game, but it reminds me a little bit of Pandemic, where there's like 5 or 6 different ways to lose the game, whether it's or drawing the last of the
Look, this game's better than Pandemic.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's definitely better.
Put that on your cover art.
Okay, so another negative. The art is going to be polarizing. I like the board. Yeah. And I like many of the character cards.
Okay.
Some of them look unfinished. Some of them are just plain out weird. But there are some, look at the Surgeon. Like the Surgeon and the Postwoman and stuff like that's legitimately okay with me. Like, I like that. It's not bad. I do like the board art. I do think that the art is going to be very polarizing, though. It's not one that I love. I'm not going to say I hate the art. It's not an art that I'm immediately drawn to or attracted to. Yeah. And it's not one that really pulls me into the game. But maybe someone loves it. I'm sure some people will not and dislike it, and that'll straight turn them off of the game. So it is something to be aware of. But I don't think it's necessarily a negative, just something to make note of, see if it's something that you like or not.
I will say, if you want to immediately know whether or not you like it, pay attention to a game that used to be really popular called Happy Wheels, because the artwork reminds me hardcore of that game.
Yeah, I never played it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a little computer game you can go play, but it's free. It's very similar, and honestly, the tongue-in-cheek nature of this game is very similar to that too. So like, maybe if you're a fan, like yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the one thing I want to just go out with saying is obviously we've talked about what we like and what we dislike, but this is a Kickstarter game. This game will be launching in the next few weeks, in the early week of June. Let the creator know what you want to see. If there's anything that you would like to see change, I'm not saying this creator is going to act on that, but that's the beauty of Kickstarter.
Yeah,
we've seen Kickstarters do that before, where they, even if they fund and they cancel because they've seen enough recommendations and ideas for change that they want to go back to the drawing board. So the thing that I love about Kickstarters, especially when it's someone's first Kickstarter, is that they have a lot of time to read what's being said and to go over what their artistic inspiration and viewpoint is for the game. And make any changes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to make any changes. I don't know if he needs to make any changes. But it is something that I think you should be mindful of. If this Kickstarter interests you at all, just go look at it, view the updates, view the pledges, and view what they've put out on the campaign page, and see if it's something that you might be interested in. Just track it a little bit if it's interesting.
Yeah, I would even go as far as to say you should find a playthrough of this. We haven't done a playthrough that's going to be recorded, but I know that... the creator of the game has done a playthrough for people to watch?
I don't know. He's done some private ones to help teach people like us.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if there's any public ones out there. I'm sure there will be soon if there aren't already.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely go see if it's something that interests you. I think it should definitely fund. I imagine so.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it goes.
Theme alone is I think enough to interest enough people.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, once again, this is Lonely Undead by Dead Lemon Games. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we hope you're interested enough to go check out the Kickstarter. Let us know down in the comments what you think about it. We'd be happy to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely.
As always, do not forget to like and subscribe, and come back again next time with some more videos.